Greetings and welcome home, brave heroes. This is HeroQuest. I am Ash. And over the last several months, my Underworld's fixation has hold on, I need to clarify something. I said I'm Ash and then pointed the camera at the horse. I didn't mean to infer that the horse is Ash. I'm not a horse's Ash. The horse is not Ash. Although, symbolically, I guess, I kind of am like the Trojan horse. When you least expect it, they sneak past your defenses, get into your walls through your media viewing device. Then when your mind is sound asleep to the concept of buying anything, bam! I'm full of ideas that make you spend your money, thus sacking your wallet like the city of Troy. Pardon my mess. Over the last several months, my Warhammer Underworld's fixation has led me to unbox and review many different warbands, mainly Grand Alliance boxes. We've looked at 3 of these Grand Alliance box types. 3 Grand Alliances. This wasn't a planned diorama. It looks like Greencrack just got done assassinating this guy. He's like, no, I'm the better goblin warband. Bah! No doubt this was a real battle that happened at some point. Destruction, order, and undead. Have you ever seen such a dichotomy? We've got tall, slender, graceful, nature-loving, and then we've got industrious, brutish, digging, ready to plunder. But I've saved the best warbands for last. Brave heroes, it's finally time for fish? That's fish. Let us go through the door and unbox. Hold on. I gotta put you up here in your home. Let's hold that down. This is Warhammer Underworld's Chaos Warbands, Despoilers, and Daemons. While I love pretty much everything that I have collected so far for Warhammer Underworlds, and I could love it more if it was set in the Old World instead of Age of Sigmar, if they did like an Old World version of Underworlds and it had the same support and volume of content, I think I would sell off all my Age of Sigmar to support that. If it was pretty much the exact same game, yeah, that would be so cool. Getting off track, while I love my Underworld's warbands up to this point, I love the concept of the Chaos faction in Warhammer overall, most of all. The ideas behind the Chaos factions are almost infinity. And so, I have finally collected the first of the 2 available Grand Alliance boxes, Despoilers and Daemons. There are 16 Citadel miniatures in this box across the 4 warbands, which should pretty much lead you to believe that we have some larger, more complicated models in here. Because it's always the exact same amount of plastic, the exact same space of sprue that they provide to you when they supply you with a warband. So if you get this sprue and you have 7 models, you can guarantee that they're all going to be small shrimpy guys. Maybe one of them will be slightly larger, obviously the leader. And if you only have 3 models across this single sprue, then you know that they're all going to be a lot of multi-part bigger guys. And that is indeed the case. Let's get these poor guys out of the box. Underworlds has been going on, so to speak, for some time now, and a lot of the warbands that were widely available in the earlier seasons, of which there were like 9 or 10 of Underworlds, are a little bit harder to get now, and also their rules have been slightly changed, at least with regards to the newest edition of Underworlds, which is Emberguard. A lot of stuff about Emberguard is different from the previous edition and all of its seasons. And Games Workshop saw an opportunity to bring out all the warbands again. Not all of them, I wish it was all of them. But this definitely makes the plastic more accessible, instead of having to hunt down individual warbands or warbands that were released in season boxes that made up one of the 2 different factions that were fighting in that season, having to buy that core box to get that warband. Well, you don't have to do that. You can get these 4 at a time through these Grand Alliance boxes. This one came to me half brand new, half used. I'll explain. The warbands were all assembled on sprue. The box was sealed on one side, and on the other side, somebody had opened it in order to start putting the cards in sleeves. I didn't know they had War Scroll-sized sleeves, but I mean, I really shouldn't be surprised. The War Scroll-size format has been around, I guess, long enough, and has definitely been in enough boxes to matter. To become a standard. So Despoilers and Daemons comes with your bog standard 2nd edition style fighter cards and 2nd edition war scrolls for all of your warbands. I think the war scroll concept was happening in the 1st edition as well, but I don't think I have any of the 1st edition war scrolls, so I don't know. Somebody more knowledgeable than me will be able to confirm that in like 2 seconds down below. We're going to do something that's going to make some of my audience very angry. We're going to unsleeve the cards. I didn't ask for these sleeves. We are unsleeving them. If I want to sleeve them later, then fine, but I will sleeve them on my own terms. Plus, these are kind of weirdly opaque because they have kind of a texture to them, and I don't know if I like that, but I do kind of like how they grip each other and they don't slip around. It is a shame the second edition fighter cards have pictures of the minis all painted up, which is kind of nice, and if they'd started with that standard, it would have been perfectly fine, but the first edition cards all have nice art. They changed it at some point during first edition, so it's not really a first versus second, but second edition is guaranteed to have miniatures, pictures. I hope they don't change it again. They definitely changed the card backs frequently enough throughout the first season that it makes it impossible to play unless you put your cards in sleeves. With this box, we have the Gorechosen of Dromm. We have the Dread Pageant, we have Khagra's Ravagers, and we have Ephilim's Pandemonium. We have all the cards in the other languages that we will not be needing. So we're going to break out my old friend, Spinny McTableton. I think I gave it a different name last time. And he is going to help us showcase these wonderful, lovely miniatures while I tell you about their lore. I'm going to start with the one that I think is my favorite. You'll see why. These are Khagra's Ravagers, and they're basically a bunch of Chaos Warriors, which I can't think of anything cooler than that in concept. Chaos Warriors cut the meanest silhouette. They are the most threatening presence on any board. They are the coolest designs. I shall read unto you their lore as they spin about on the table. Dromm, Wounder of Worlds, seeks... Wait, no, that's the wrong one. Khagra's Ravagers walk the path to glory, daring damnation for immortality. They honor chaos by desecrating the lands and butchering all opposition. Khagra is named the Usurper, for she won the loyalty of Dour Kragan and Razek God-blessed, away from her own sister, Zarshia Bittersoul. Lingering sentiment has seen Khagra spare Zarshia, a fact the sorcerer seeks to exploit. To inspire Khagra's Ravagers, after the last action step in a battle round, if there are 2 or more desecrated treasure tokens, inspire each friendly fighter. So to desecrate is just to steal treasure from places. Dark Approval, the Eye of the Gods, and Ravaging Advance are abilities that this warband can have, as well as Raised Realm and Ritual Desecration. The warband includes Khagra, Razek, that's Razek actually, Kragan. Him and Razek are the most awesome. They are so cool. And Zarshia, that's the sister. Oh, she's quite chaos influenced. It's time to pick a favorite, and it's gonna be Kragan. How can it not be Kragan? They're all so cool though. Wait, you know what? I'm actually gonna go with Razek on this one. Huge shield and large axe. I'm going with it. Oh, it's so difficult. Maybe we'll just cheat and call it a tie. These guys score close seconds though, very, very close seconds. Next up is the Dread Pageant. Vasilak the Gifted is as murderously skilled as any Slaneshi champion. And he knows it. He travels the realms, seeking both acclamation and signs of his missing god. With him come the Dancer Killers, Glisset and Hadzu, chosen for their ability to highlight Vasilak's prowess. The Gorkin Slake Slash, meanwhile, fights in a wanton frenzy, in thrall to his kind's bestial urges. I don't think it takes a genius to point out which one Slake Slash is, but here is Slake Slash. The dancers are Glisset as well as Hadzu. Here's what they would look like if I were really good at painting, and if I worked for heavy metal. And this is Vasilak, and here he is rotating on the table. An awesome sculpt to be sure. To inspire this warband after an action step, if all friendly fighters are damaged, or if there are more damaged fighters than there are undamaged fighters, inspire each friendly fighter. This next one's a bit wild. It consists of Flame Spooler, who he just walks around on his hands, I guess, and uses his legs to spool flames. This sculpt was a bit difficult to put together. I got it. It's just a few minutes, but it definitely had its moments where it was like, how am I supposed to hold you before you finally snap together? I don't want to apply too much pressure. And then there was like a slight twist and everything came together. And I'm like, okay. You can kind of tell by this guy already that this is going to be the warband that is devoted to Tzeentch. If you weren't convinced, well, this is Kindlefinger. He's here to convince you. Look at this little guy. Look at this silly little guy. They call this one Spawn Maw. Not really hard to see why. He was finicky, for sure, which it's hard to complain because once you get them together, they look so cool. They look awesome. There are definitely sculpts that are not possible to make, or at least extremely impractical probably to design around to make them if you were just to do one single injection mold pass, but It's here that I have to express my appreciation once again for the pre-decorated bases that these guys all get. You don't just get the plain black circles or the plain black squares, and it's lovely. It's so nice to have bases that are already decorated. That's not a knock against other games, but I think it's especially nice to have it in this game. Alright, and this guy is Appletrax. Sounds like a cereal that I used to eat in my youth. Why do they call it Appletrax if he doesn't taste like apples? They just do. That's a Zinch moment. But the spindliest and fiddliest of them all is Ephilim. Ephilim himself, obviously a gaunt sorcerer of some kind. And he is indeed gaunt behind those robes. Might be a she, I haven't actually looked yet. To catalog all the Daemons of Zinch, the Change God, is an endless task. The mysterious sorcerer known as Ephilim has embraced this quest, however. They are aided by the gibbering Spawnmaw, Pyromaniacal Kindlefinger, Cunning Flamespooler, and mind-blasting Appletrax, the Starefish. Ephilim seeks places of power across the realms to corrupt, using the swell of twisted energies to empower their infernal menagerie. It sounds awesome. Once again, conceptually, Zinch wins for me. To inspire this warband, if there are 2 or more inspired friendly minions, inspire your leader. What? That doesn't explain what? Glorious change? Unpredictable and chaotic are the whims of the Change God. Immediately after the first action step of each battle round, pick a friendly minion, inspire that fighter, then pick a friendly minion, give that fighter a stagger token. Okay. Doesn't say it can't be the same one. Inspire, stagger, then bam, inspire your leader, without staggering. I saved this one for last because while I think it's really, really cool, it's not exactly my favorite. It might be yours. Only 3 massive miniatures. We have the Gorechosen of Dromm. Dromm, Wounder of Worlds, seeks subterranean fault lines in the realms to split wide open, letting the very blood of the lands gush forth to empower his brutal rites. Alongside Dromm fight the Skullgrinder Herax, a warrior blacksmith who fashions his leader's ritual tools, and the towering entity known as the Gore Hulk, a former slaughter priest twisted by Khorne's boundless rage. About time we got a Khorne warband up in here. This is Dromm himself. Huge mask. That's not a mask, it's a headdress. And his 2 melee attacks, 1/2/2 and 2/2/1 respectively, become a 2/3/2 single melee attack upon inspiration. This be Herax, whose attacks also combine. You know, I say finally, but I think the very first warband that I had here on the channel was a Shadespire warband. Might have been the second thing I unboxed ever. And there's a Khorne warband in that box. Arnulf, never forget Arnulf. This is the Gore Hulk. Man, he's so awesome. I know I'm overusing that word in this video. Chaos symbol in the very back that I didn't even catch while I was putting this guy together. He's so badass. Just huge, towering, dynamic pose, ready to strike, and these guys I had no trouble really putting together. Sorry for the breakaway. After I filmed this video, I did some digging and I found out an answer to a question that I had in another video, a previous one, about Underworlds. A 2-part question, which was, are there any differences in terms of fighter attributes or the way that they inspire between the first edition version of a given warband and that warband's second edition appearance? And the answer to both of those parts of the question is yes. I have before me the first edition The Gore Hulk card and the second edition The Gore Hulk card. This is kind of what I meant about illustrations versus just pictures of miniatures. It's not like the picture itself is that much different since the image, the illustration is based on the pose of the miniature, but still, it was a super nice touch to have it. This is the non-inspired side and this is the inspired side. And as you can see, while the stats are laid out differently and the format of the card is generally different across editions, that's not what I was talking about. The stats themselves are different. We had a movement of 3, a defense of 1, and 5 wounds on the Gore Hulk. The second edition gives the Gore Hulk an additional wound. When we flip over to the Inspire side, instead of 3, 1, 6, we are now able to move 4, and we have 1 and 6. Well, that's in the past. We were able to move 4. Now we're just moving 3. Basically, nothing changes about the Gore Hulk when they are inspired in terms of stats, whereas before they went from 315 to 416. Crazy enough, his moveset was also strikingly different, with Crushing Grip, his first melee attack, being a 1-2-3, changed to a 1-2-3, but the 2 is now the Warhammer symbol, and 1-2-1, which has Throttle and Stagger, on Choking Grip, which becomes 1-4-1. I believe this is Stagger. It keeps all of the symbols, but you now roll 4 attack dice. I really wish they had kept the attack names and just the verbal the word-driven keywords. That was really nice. Symbols are fine. If you're used to the symbols, they're fine, but I like the keywords being on the card too. Okay, but the crazy thing is when this particular warband gets 8 blood tokens across all of its fighters, they all inspire. But previously, each fighter had their own inspiration conditions. This fighter, having 3 or more blood tithe counters, would have inspired them. So it's nice to see that they didn't disregard the inspiration altogether. They just changed it. They just made it maybe tighter, cleaner, refined in some way. This guy has throttle. After the deal damage step, give the target 1 move token and they cannot be driven back by this attack action. Then you can remove one of this fighter's blood tithe counters. If you do, deal 1 damage to the target. And then the rules for blood tithe are on Herax's fighter card. I don't know which I prefer, honestly. First edition, you just didn't require the war scroll at all. And I kind of preferred that format. Oh well. I just wanted to share that. I thought it was interesting. Back to the video. They felt the sturdiest out of all, and while some of these miniatures provided no contest for that, a lot of them were actually pretty sturdy, bulky. The Gorechosen of Dromm are inspired if, after an action step, you have 8 or more blood tithe tokens, inspire each friendly fighter. The blood tithe. Khorne cares not from whence the blood flows, only that it flows. Immediately after damage is inflicted on a fighter, gain 1 blood tithe token. So as soon as you get 8 of those, boom, your entire warband is inspired. All the blood is flowing. Brutal Reckoning, the Blood Tithe, Call of Blood, and Rage, and Final Frenzy are the abilities of this warband. But for better or for worse, more or less, that is the first of 2 Chaos Grand Alliance warband boxes that I will be looking at. Goal is to have everybody. Goal is to have absolutely every single one. I do find it curious that the oldest of the warbands have not had a 2nd edition release yet. I know that they have cards online that you can download for your older models, but downloading and printing cards is such a strange, not cool concept. For the core boxes, it doesn't really matter. Shadespire and other early season core boxes go for super cheap on the secondhand market because people just want to sell their Underworld stuff off in droves. But those expansions, those warband expansions, those single warband collections that they released for each season, those are the ones that are going to be a little bit harder to get if you want to assemble your own miniatures. And I think it would do Games Workshop very well to release 1 more pack of 4 different Grand Alliance boxes if they have the warbands to cover 4 for each Grand Alliance type. But that's enough of this. Please let me know what you thought down in the comments below. These are some of my favorite sculpts out of this whole thing for sure. Probably I would put the goblins up there really high, and while I love Skaven are just some of my favorites ever, the goblin sculpts for Underworlds are actually the S tiers for me, I think. If you've made it this far, recite a Tzeentchian enchantment in the comments below, and I will see you in the next exciting adventure. Until then, brave heroes, thank you again, and I bid you farewell for now.